Hey guys, Al here, Vitalized Seed. Hope everybody's doing well. Happy New Year. Wanted to talk about conservation tillage today. I think this is something that doesn't get brought up enough, and by myself included, and definitely doesn't get spoken about enough publicly. Although I do speak with a lot of growers, be it fruit plotters, farmers, hobby farmers, gardeners, etc., that are doing doing plantings about this topic. The reason I think it's an important topic to discuss is because I've always liked to try to say that any step towards soil conservation is a step in the right direction. It's very easy for somebody to bring up the word till or tillage and get somewhat of a visceral response from the other side, right? It becomes very polarizing, this whole topic. And tillage is the devil, and you're the enemy. And then the tillage people are going to say, well, no, you're the enemy. It doesn't work in my area, or whatever it might be. And oftentimes, it doesn't work like this, or we've always done it that way, is a very dangerous idea. However, if I can take somebody who's doing deep tillage and they're like, hey, I want to reduce tillage, I want to reduce erosion, I want to keep the soil covered, but I'm not ready to go to a no-till drill. If it's like a food plot situation, they're like, yeah, I tried this broadcasting, it's just not working. Or here's the real kicker that I think often gets overlooked, and I'm certainly not somebody in a position to tell you what's better, right? And somebody will say, well, I could do light tillage and have good success. And I've done so, and I'm keeping the soil covered about 30+% afterwards, as you see in this picture. That's like a vertical tillage machine that's chopping up the residue. Yes, there's a little bit of soil exposed, but for the most part, the soil is still covered. What would make this better is if you then flew on a cover crop, and or if you drilled in a cover crop, specifically fallen corn. It'd be good with a legume, but that's another video for another day, or at least a balance with the legume. Going on, though, is somebody might say, I want to do light tillage. I just am not having success, and I don't want to spray. I'm just not having success broadcasting, and I don't want to spray. Well, there's some people, again, it gets very polarizing, but, well, why not? Spray doesn't hurt any. Well, that's that grower's option and choice. And that's what's so great about the United States of America is, we're free and we can make these choices. So instead of somebody wanting to use glyphosate or not wanting to, or they don't want to reduce it, or they don't want to use it at all, let's say, all the different, on the different ends of the spectrum, then this is where it comes up with, okay, well, let's talk about our options as far as tillage goes if you don't have a no-till drill. And even with a no-till drill, depending on your situation, it can still be relatively reliant on herbicide. Again, no-till drill, herbicide, trying to reduce the amount of herbicide on the landscape, I think is a really good win overall. If you can use flail mower, mowing, roller crimpers, etc. for termination, that's obviously the top of the pyramid. But let's just say somebody says, I want to do tillage. Well, this is where conservation tillage comes in. Hey, let's not totally flip that soil over and cause redox reactions to be occurring, right? Or oxidation is another way of saying that. Let's not have a total disruption of the fungal and bacterial networks. When you're tilling, specifically deep tillage, you're adding so much oxygen to that soil profile. From a chemical perspective, you're going to have things happen like iron oxide form, basically, which is a chemical reaction causing iron to bind up in the soil due to the exposure due to the exposure of oxygen, okay? But you're also going to have your microbes and fungal networks get disrupted because of this blast of oxygen. Fungal mostly getting chopped up. Bacterial, it's like giving sugar to a toddler. So it's going to get the microbes really excited, and they're going to consume. That's why for residue management, this is a good thing. However, once they run out of carbon source, they're going to continue to look for that carbon source, right? And that tends to be, as they're repopulating, in things like your organic matter. You also break up soil aggregation, etc. So we know that there's a lot of negatives to tillage. But going back to the initial point, this is a really good option. Conservation tillage. It's very light. You're leaving the soil covered. You can get pretty darn good seed-to-soil contact. From a food plotter's perspective or a wildlife pasture perspective, you could seed and then just do this light tillage. I did a video on this last year where we did half a field with this conservation tillage. I had my tiller barely hitting the surface, just enough to terminate the previous crop. We didn't use any herbicide. I seeded a little bit heavier, increased my seeding rate because I knew I wasn't going to have a total kill off. And we came back, and from a wildlife food plot perspective, that 3 acres did phenomenal. And then we planted our fall carbon load into it about 3.5 months later. So something to consider, guys, if you're wanting to get away from spray, or you feel like I can't do the soil health thing because I still like to till or have a tiller, more than one way to skin that cat. And one of the ways you can do it is look up conservation tillage. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys and gives you a little bit different perspective, because any step towards soil conservation is a step in the right direction. Get outside, enjoy the outdoors, guys. And if you like this stuff, please share, follow, subscribe, and check us out at vitalizeseed.com.